Test 1. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a clerk at the inquiries desk of a transport company and a man who is asking for travel information. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Good morning, Travel Link. How can I help you?
Good morning. I live in Bayswater and I'd like to get to Harbour City tomorrow before 11 a.m.
Well, to get to Bayswater...
No, I live in Bayswater. My destination is Harbour City.
Oh, sorry, right. So that's Bayswater to Harbour City. Are you planning to travel by bus or train?
The man wants to go to Harbour City, so Harbour City has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning, Travel Link. How can I help you?
Good morning. I live in Bayswater and I'd like to get to Harbour City tomorrow before 11 a.m.
Well, to get to Bayswater...
No, I live in Bayswater. My destination is Harbour City.
Oh, sorry. Right, so that's Bayswater to Harbour City. Are you planning to travel by bus or train?
I don't mind, really. Whichever option is faster, I suppose.
Well, if you catch a railway express, that'll get you there in under an hour. Let's see. Yes, if you can make the 9:30 a.m. express, I'd recommend you do that.
Great. Which station does that leave from?
Helendale is the nearest train station to you.
Did you say Helensvale?
No, Helendale. That's Helendale.
What's the best way to get to the Helendale station then?
Well, hang on a minute while I look into that. Now, it seems to me that you have 2 options. Option 1 would be to take the 7:06 bus from the Bayswater Shopping Centre to Central Street. When you get there, you transfer to another bus which will take you to the station. Or the second option, if you don't mind walking a couple of kilometres, is to go directly to Central Street and get straight on the bus going to the train station.
OK, which bus is that?
The 792 will take you to the station.
I guess the walk will be good for me, so that might be the better option. What time do I catch the 792?
There are 2 buses that should get you to the station on time, one just before 9 o'clock and one just after. But look, at that time of the morning it might be better to take the earlier one, just in case there's a traffic jam or something. The 8:55 is probably safer than the 9:05.
Yeah, I don't want to miss the train, so I'll be sure to get on the 5 to 9 bus.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
By the way, how much will I have to pay in fares?
Well, you can get a ticket on the bus for $1.80 cash, and you'll need $10 each way for the train. Wait, do you have a Travel Link card?
No, but I can get one before tomorrow.
OK, well that'll make it considerably cheaper then. The bus will cost $1.50 each way, and the train will be... The train to Harbour City will... Still costs $10 because you'll be travelling during peak hours in the morning, so no savings there, I'm afraid. However, if you could come back at an off-peak time...
What does that mean?
Well, if you could start your return journey before 5 p.m. or later than 7:30 in the evening...
Actually, I wasn't planning on coming back till at least 8 o'clock anyway.
Oh, in that case, you can make quite a saving if you use your travel link card. You did say you were planning to purchase one, didn't you?
Yes, I'll pick one up later today.
Good. That would mean your return train journey would only cost you $7.15 with your card.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Actually, there is. Do you know if I can use the travel link card on ferries?
If you're thinking of the Harbour City ferries that go back and forth between the North and South Bank, those are the commuter ferries, then yes. A one-way trip costs $4.50, but with your card you'd make a 20% saving and only pay $3.55.
So $3.55 for the commuter ferry. What about the tour boats?
You mean the tourist ferries that go upriver on sightseeing tours? No, they only take cash or credit card. They're not part of the Travel Link company.
Oh, I see. I don't suppose you know the cost of a tour?
In actual fact, I do, because I took a friend on the trip upriver just last week. We decided on the afternoon tour, and that was $35 each, but I understand that you can do the whole day for $65.
Thank you. You've been a great help.
My pleasure. Enjoy your day out.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a guidance counsellor talking to a group of students. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Hello everyone. I'm the Counselling Administrator here at St Ives College, and I've been asked to come and talk to you about our counselling team and the services that we offer. We have 3 professional counsellors here at St Ives, Louise Bagshaw, Tony Denby and Naomi Flynn. They each hold daily one-on-one sessions with students, but which counsellor you see will depend on a number of factors. If you've never used a counsellor before, then you should make an appointment with Naomi Flynn. Naomi specialises in seeing new students and offers a preliminary session where she will talk to you about what you can expect from counselling, followed by some simple questions about what you would like to discuss. This can be really helpful for students who are feeling a bit worried about the counselling process. Naomi is also the best option for students who can only see a counsellor outside office hours. She is not in on Mondays, but starts early on Wednesday mornings and works late on Thursday evenings, so you can see her before your first class or after your last class on those days. Louise staffs our drop-in centre throughout the day. If you need to see someone without a prior appointment, then she is the one to visit. Please note that if you use this service, then Louise will either see you herself or place you with the next available counsellor. If you want to be sure to see the same counsellor on each visit, then we strongly recommend you make an appointment ahead of time. You can do this at reception during office hours or by using our online booking form. Tony is our newest addition to the counselling team. He is our only male counsellor, and he has an extensive background in stress management and relaxation techniques. We encourage anyone who is trying to deal with anxiety to see him. Tony will introduce you to a full range of techniques to help you cope with this problem, such as body awareness, time management, and positive reinforcement.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Each semester, the counselling team runs a number of small group workshops. These last for 2 hours and are free to all enrolled students. Our first workshop is called Adjusting. We've found that tertiary education can come as a big shock for some people. After the structured learning environment of school, it is easy to feel lost. In this workshop, we will introduce you to what is necessary for academic success. As you might expect, we're targeting first-year students with this offering. Getting organised follows on from the first workshop. Here, we're going to help you break the habit of putting things off, get the most out of your time, and discover the right balance between academic and recreational activities. With Getting Organised, we're catering to a broader crowd, which includes all undergraduates and postgraduates. Next up is a workshop called Communicating. The way people interact here may be quite different to what you're used to, especially if you've come from abroad. We'll cover an area that many foreign students struggle with: how to talk with teachers and other staff. We'll cover all aspects of multicultural communication. International students tend to get a lot out of this class, so we particularly encourage you to come along. But I must say that sometimes students from a local background find it helpful too, so everyone is welcome. The anxiety workshop is held later on in the year and deals with something you will all be familiar with: the nerves and anxiety that come when exams are approaching. Many students go through their entire academic careers suffering like this, but you don't have to. Come to this workshop and we'll teach you all about relaxation and how to breathe properly, as well as meditation and other strategies to remain calm. We've tailored this workshop to anyone who is going to sit exams. Finally, we have the motivation workshop. The big topic here is how to stay on target and motivated during long-term research projects. This workshop is strictly for research students, as less advanced students already have several workshops catering to their needs. Well, that's it. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions or want more information about our services, do come and see us at the counselling service.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear a conversation between two students, Maddie and John, who are planning a biology experiment. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Okay, John. We're studying the crabs on the local beaches, right?
Yep.
And we've got this form to fill in. So, our idea is that we find out if there's any impact from people using the beach.
And the rubbish they leave.
And there's other rubbish too, like from passing boats.
Oh, right. So our experimental hypothesis is that people's use of the beach impacts on the crabs living in the sand.
To include everything, we probably need to write down human activity.
Fair enough. I agree. Okay, so what are we including as our variables? Of course, the first one has to be the overall number of visitors to the beach, right?
Yeah. On the form I'll call that visitor numbers.
Okay. And then another one is time of day.
Yeah. I think Mr. Ben said we need to look at the beach when it's busy in the daytime, when people are running around. Those four-wheel bikes are charging up and down, so the noise levels are really high.
Yeah, and again at night when it's quiet.
Okay, fine. And I was wondering,
What?
what if some of the rubbish and food that people leave round is actually tasty for the crabs?
Good thinking. So another variable is whether people actually feed the crabs without meaning to. How can we phrase that? People feeding the crabs?
No, that won't do. They're not doing it on purpose. How about, food left on the beach?
Yes, okay, but can we make that shorter? How about edible rubbish?
Yes, good. So we need to have several beaches, don't we? You know, at least one that's hard for people to get to, that has almost no rubbish, and others with more visitors.
Yes, that's right. Though, of course, there'll still be floating stuff from the sea on all the beaches and pollution from the passing boats, won't there?
True. I guess we have to take those as constants.
Well, we have 3 beaches to work with. The first one is the busy beach right in the town alongside the promenade. That'll be perfect for the high-use one.
Right.
Then there's the little bay around the corner that you can only reach on foot by going over the hill. So I guess not so many people visit that one.
No, but some do. It's quite popular in summer for picnics.
Yeah, so it gets a little use, but not that much.
And do we have one where no one goes, as a control?
Well, Mr. Ben has asked a farmer to let us go across his land to another one the public never gets to.
Ah, right, I remember. It's called Sandy Point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Okay, so what's our experimental method? How are we going to judge if the crabs are affected or not? And how can we measure 3 beaches with 2 observers?
Don't worry about that. My younger brother will help us out. He's really keen. So we'll need to count the crabs, or at least their holes in the sand, during a particular time period. Count how many we see.
Yeah, okay. So we need to be precise about the time. And surely we need to choose a specific part of the beach to measure.
Yeah, that's right. So we need things to measure the time and the area with, right. What else do we need to think about?
Well, to compare the beaches properly, we'll need to visit them all first, won't we? To see the lay of the land. Because we also need to set the identical distance from the actual water's edge for each beach. And of course that will change as the tide goes in and out. Let's see. We'll need measuring tapes and string and little posts to mark the area. Shall we say 2 square meters, 3 or maybe 4 meters from the water's edge? That should give us some leeway with the tide coming in.
And to do it properly, we'll each have to be in position at the same time, so we'll all need mobile phones to synchronize the observation periods and stopwatches to time the observation precisely.
So, one more question. How are we going to see them at night? And will we need to count holes again in the dark? Oh, that's 2 questions. Sorry.
Yes, well, we will need to count again each time. The holes come and go, apparently, as the crabs are quite mobile. They steal each other's homes too, so if a larger intruder comes along, the previous owner digs himself another hole. As for the night vision problem, the department's got goggles for that. So what else?
Well, we need to think about timing, don't we? Do we sit for an hour, or 2 hours at a time.
Let's say an hour for starters. Remember, we have to do this again after dusk. I've read that most crabs are nocturnal anyway.
Yeah, so how many times do we need to repeat all this? For 2 weeks, do you reckon? Or longer?
Well, that's 28 hours total observation time. That'll make it harder for doing the stats, won't it?
Yeah, that's true. So, how about we go for a fortnight, adding up to 20 hours in total? That'll allow for any bad weather.
Yeah, sounds fine to me.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a talk on the topic of world mythologies. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today's lecture is about some of the common themes in world mythologies. Why do all cultures invent mythologies, and what do they have in common? Well, firstly, these stories provide explanations for the questions we all ask. How was the universe created? Where does the sun come from? What are the stars? A mythology is not the same as a religious doctrine, but nevertheless, most mythologies describe the creation of the world and how it was populated with people and animals. Mythological heroes are usually godlike characters with superhuman abilities and qualities, though they are not always benevolent. Some of them are jealous, proud, and deceitful, just like the humans who invent them. Although they are fantastical, the stories are accepted as a psychological reality by the cultures that create them. However, mythology has more than psychological meaning. Here's one example. In the period of ancient Chinese history known as the Warring States, China was changing. But the traditional mythologies reinforced the old political order. The emperor's chief minister noticed that some scholars were undermining the emperor by travelling through the country telling the old legends to the common people. Their stories were exerting a powerful influence on the community. The emperor forbade the telling of myths and commissioned the writing of new stories that supported his political ideas. Do not dismiss mythology as being old-fashioned and irrelevant to modern society. For example, George Lucas's Star Wars saga is a powerful retelling of an ancient mythological theme. When Luke Skywalker's story begins, he is an exiled and orphaned member of royalty, who is then called to an adventure where he meets the powerful wizard Ben Kenobi. During his quest he overcomes many dangers, slays the evil character Darth Vader, and rescues his beautiful sister Princess Leia. So you can see that we're still busily creating new myths in the form of movies, comic books and science fiction stories. This retelling of ancient legends speaks to us all at any age, as do the old stories that we have inherited from our own cultures. Stories from widely different cultures bear a strong resemblance to each other, and one of the best examples of this is the striking similarity of creation myths from around the world. In some of these stories, such as those from some American Indian tribes and the Aboriginal Australians, there is a creature, for example a crab or a giant tortoise. This creature dives into the ocean and retrieves a small piece of earth from which everything else is created. Water and earth are the two most common elements in all the creation myths. However, in many creation myths, the world starts in a state of chaos or a void, where there is no delineation of earth and sky. In Norse mythology, for example, a supernatural human being emerges from this void, and mountains, rivers, and earth are formed from his flesh and blood. This godlike creature is called Ymir. This creation of natural features from the bodies of the gods is a common thread in other creation mythologies, such as those of Mesopotamia. It frequently takes place after a god has died or been killed, and this introduces another common mythological theme, family rivalry. The Greek culture is a good example of a creation myth that features a family of quarrelsome and aggressive gods, all battling for power and a role in the creation of the earth. Gaia, the earth, gives birth to Uranus, the sky, and these two create a family of children, including monsters, who imprison, torture, and sometimes even kill and eat their own offspring. Creation myths do not provide examples of the cardinal virtues, but they do address universal themes of jealousy, war, and lust for power. Another common element is the image of a cosmic egg. One of the Chinese myths represents chaos as a hen's egg from which a creature called Pangu hatched. The parts of the egg separated. The heavy parts formed the earth, while the light parts formed the sky. For 18,000 years, the distance between the earth and sky increased by 3 meters a day, while Pangu grew at the same rate, his body filling the space between the two. Another mythology which features the earth and the sky separating comes from the Maori culture in New Zealand. In this story, the Sky Father Rangi and the Earth Mother Papa lie touching each other. They have many children, all boys, and these children plot together to separate their parents so that they can live in the light. After many failed attempts at separation, Tane, the god of the forest, lies on his back and pushes his parents apart with his legs. And where do humans feature in these stories? Most often they are formed after the creation of other natural features. For example, in the Chinese myth, humans were created from the fleas on Pangu's body. Once they had arrived on the scene, the humans often tried to elevate themselves to godlike status by taking knowledge from the gods. In Greek mythology, the humans tried to secretly take the knowledge of how to make fire.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.